JustMusic at the booth of Pittsburgh Modular Systems. Next to me is Richard. Hey, hello Richard. How's it going?
It's going really well. Superbooth this year has been a lot of fun. A lot of really cool stuff.
Okay, and your voice is better than last year, you know?
So far, so good. My voice is thin, but I'm hanging in there.
Okay, thumbs are, pressed. You brought the Microvolt 3900. Just tell us a little bit more about this new stuff.
The Microvolt, we announced this at NAMM earlier in the year. This is sort of our love letter to monosynths. We've been fascinated with monosynths. I have certainly since I was young, and this is our idea of sort of the perfect monosynth from an alternate reality almost. As I was designing this, I had an ARP 2600 that a good friend of mine lent me, and I had it on my desk and I would play around with it, and I thought, what if Alan, his ideas sort of won out over Bob Moog's? What if the ARP became the basis of all of all sort of standard synthesis? And so we took the ARP 2600 and kind of designed it through the years and came up, well, in 2018, what would we have? And we thought this would be the evolution of it years later. Now, we didn't clone any of the circuits. There's nothing in there that sounds like an ARP, but it's just the user interface and the interaction and the feel you get with it. That's what we love about that old ARP stuff, how you interact with it, how it makes you feel. That's what we wanted to capture a little bit of that. And then, of course, give it a lot of Pittsburgh sound, a lot of big beefy waves, a lot of wave shaping, and a lot of flexibility with the patch table.
What kind of circuit you use it?
This is all analog circuitry, and a lot of this circuitry was developed just for this. We really feel it's important to not just put together pieces and come up with a synthesizer. It's very important for us to innovate and come up with new ideas and push analog forward. So for instance, inside of here, we have what we call a dynamic VCA, and that's really not just a marketing term we've come up with to say it's a VCA. It's genuinely a new technology. So inside, what we've done is we've taken the old Buchla low-pass gate circuits that give you that really sort of natural, organic vibe of a Buchla, and we've modernized it. We've taken out the bad Kubotas, the Vactrals, and replaced them with solid analog modern circuitry, so you can sort of dial in this sort of the pluckiness and the richness of a sound. You can hear it sounds very organic and very natural, and that's this special dynamic VCA circuit. It was several years working on that, and that really gives the Microvolt its unique voice. In addition to that, we start with a great big beefy oscillator. We added this beautiful wave folder to it to give some really, really interesting tones. Really puts this system in a sort of a group of its own. It doesn't really, you can't compare it A to B with any other synthesizers out there, and that's what was interesting to us. We wanted to do something new and exciting for us as musicians, and then we get to share it with the world.
Perfect.
Single oscillator, a lot of wave shaping. You got full patch bay. It's semi-modular in the sense that it starts off with a pre-patched voice, but then you can go and repatch everything. You have complete access to all the patch points you would have if this was a single module. Of course, it's Eurorack compatible. It's not Eurorack format. This is a standalone box, but you can patch it with any Eurorack you may have. Full MIDI support as well. Has a built-in arpeggiator and a little sequencer. Modulation sources, you have a nice LFO, and then you have this random source, gives you random CV and random gates, and you can set the complexity of that. That's internally patched to everything here. A function generator, it's sort of an attack decay generator. Right now we have it driving the filter, but it can cycle and you can use it as essentially a voltage-controlled oscillator, a voltage-controlled LFO. Then we have our envelope generator. Some utility mixing over here, so it's really designed to be explored. The idea of a Microvolt is, something you want to go in and you want to touch and you want to move around, and that's what we wanted. You can start without patch cables, but you're going to want to dive in and get deep with it.
That's cool. would be nice if you can give us a sound example.
Certainly.
Perfect.
We can start with a very basic sound. This is, a sine wave. Open up the filter. We can add our harmonic sine. This is something unique to the Microvolt. Add some odd harmonics to it. You can hear it just bites just a little bit, enough to give the filter something to grab onto, which is unique to this. Big beefy saw waves. And I can change up the arpeggiator here. Pulse width. And then you have our fold wave, which uses the timbre. And of course, because all the waveforms are available in the mixer, you can blend them together to create really big, huge analog tones. Voltage control over your timbre, voltage control over your pulse width. Simplify this a little bit, we'll go down to the saw. Our filter section, this is the standard Pittsburgh Modular filter. We've used this for a long time. When we developed this filter years ago, we said we just want to have one Pittsburgh signature sound filter. And that's what we're going with. Now, we've refined it over the years and tweaked it a little bit, but it's going to be your basic, really smooth, really creamy filter. We didn't want to mess with it too much because it sounds so good.
Never change a running system.
Exactly. Output, we have an overdrive here, so we can overdrive the signal. I'll turn it down a little bit so you can really push it. You also have analog noise, and you have an external input with a dedicated preamp that you can overdrive externally, or you can use it as a feedback loop to create, if you're doing drones or noisecapes, or you just want a bigger, beefier sound, it's available for you in there.
Okay.
That's the Microvolt. We're thrilled to get this out there. It's going to start shipping in a week or two. We had a little delay. We were waiting for some parts, but everything's come together now. They're sitting, actually, they just came to the shop. They're sitting there waiting to be put together when we get back to Pittsburgh.
Okay, cool. The Microvolt 3900. Richard, I can see a sequencer, a new sequencer. Can you talk a little bit about this one?
I can talk a little bit about the sequencer. This is something we held back from NAMM because we really wanted to focus on the Microvolt, but we thought, what better place to show sort of a Berlin-style sequencer than Superbooth in Berlin? So we have a new 4-channel sequencer, 32 steps for each channel. It can be both analog, CV, gates, and it also does MIDI, so you can have MIDI in and out on it as well. So you can do sort of polyphonic sequencing and that type of thing with the MIDI, or you can drive certainly 4 monosynths, or it's a Eurorack format module, so you can take it out of the box, put it in your system, and go to town with it. We wanted something that was very hands-on and very usable. So 32 sliders was important, 32 buttons. So it's you want to touch it, you want to get in there, make your sequences. There's a couple different ways you can use it. You could use it so you have 4 pages, you can sort of scroll through the 4 channels, create 32 length, and then sort of go between them, or just set everything so it's you split the 32 steps between 4 sequences. Again, the focus was on live performance. We wanted something that was going to get you through a gig. You can save 32 groups of the 4 sequences, so you can have your entire gig ready to go. We have it paired at the show here with 2 SV1s. It seems like a fun way to demo it. We can demo with the MIDI and with the CV there. Still in the works. The firmware isn't quite finished yet, but we've been holding on to it for so long. We really just wanted to get it out there and show people. Yeah. So it's going to be a couple months, maybe late July, early August, late summer with that one. Okay. Yeah, it depends on how much fun we're having this summer before, how much time we actually sit down and finish the firmware, but it's coming soon. And we did have one other product that we're showing here at Superbooth. It's a new oscillator. It's our primary oscillator. It's based on the oscillator core from the Microvolt. We love the idea of, all these great new digital oscillators that are out, and there's a ton of them in Eurorack, and they all sound amazing because they have 100 different waveforms, and you sort of slide through them and pick the ones you like. we thought that's great, they sound really good, but we wanted an analog version, an analog oscillator that had an infinite number of waveforms. Instead, most analog oscillators, you have 5 waveforms to choose from, and that's good.
That was it, yeah.
But so what we did was we took this as our base and we added more wave shaping, and we created the wave shaping in a way that it sort of cascades down. So as you build your sound, it just adds and adds and adds these additional wave shapes to it, and everything's voltage controllable, so you end up with an infinite number of waveforms that can be everything from big beefy sine waves to thin plastic sounds or sort of acoustic guitar type sounds with it. Really, and so we thought if we're going to do another oscillator, it had to be relevant. It had to be, again, bring some innovation to synthesis, and we think we've really done that with the primary oscillator.
Cool. Richard, I say thank you for showing us the Microvolt, your new sequencer, and your new oscillator.
Absolutely. It's been a lot of fun.
Full joy the rest of the booth.
Certainly will.
I say thank you to Pittsburgh, JustMusic, Superbooth 2018.